Good evening, everyone. Today I will be doing a pedagogy presentation on integrating real world situations in the classroom, and my name is Jordan Arnold. So, when you think of all that comes with the real world, what is the first thing that comes to mind? I'll give you guys a second to ponder on this. Okay, so just to throw out a few ideas: bills, college, work, money, the pandemic, and social media. Those are things that I thought would be common that come to mind when you think about the real world. I incorporated this quote done by Terry Godward. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But the quote reads, "Education without action is like food without exercise." This made me think of what the classroom would be like without real world situations incorporated. If students aren't learning these skills in school and they're not learning them at home, where will they be able to learn these real world skills at? I feel like school is that mandatory place that you should be able to ensure your students are learning real world situations as well as educational ones that can both be helpful to them in the real world. Did you know that real world problems are inherently engaging since they tend to be meaningful and applicable to students' lives either directly or indirectly? So that can be through the media or social networks. And this came from an article by someone by the name of Integrate that talks about the benefits of real world situations being incorporated into the classroom. Did you also know that there has been widespread agreement that students need to be highly proficient in literacy skills with language? But if students are able to be well prepared for college and careers, they need to be literate in their abilities to work with data as well. And this was an article from an author by the name of Irwin that was discussing the importance of college students getting the preparation that they need to be successful in the work field. And did you also know that, in particular, the ability to work on a team and with different people is important as jobs become more collaborative and as our country becomes more diverse? And this was from an article um, from authors by the name of Hughes and Jones that was discussing the importance of real world situations being incorporated into school to prepare you for the workplace. As you can see, it's a trend. All of these are suggesting that real world situations are incorporated into the classroom so that students can be prepared for real world situations. For example, being in the real world working as a working adult. All of these are suggesting that schools should be set up where students can be able to directly relate what they're learning to what they will need to know when they start working a career in the real world. This should be whether they're going to college or if they're just planning on finishing high school and going straight into the work field. So, the pros of incorporating real world situations into the classroom are, of course, the main benefit is it's preparing students for the real world. Like they're learning skills that will be directly able to be related to when they have these issues that come about in the real world. So this can be maybe filling out taxes. Maybe in school they learn how to file taxes. This can also be learning how to read statistics, as the news today is full of statistics. You should be able to want to know what's going on in the world around you and be able to be self-dependent on knowing how to go about understanding this information that is being presented to you. Also, students are learning skills that can be useful for the rest of their life. As I said, real world situations should be directly related to what's going on in the real world. The world is forever changing, and students should be able to be prepared to be successful and to maintain in the real world around them in the place that they go to every day, which is school. And students are also getting a chance to engage with school in a more realistic manner. How many times do you think about, oh, why am I learning about this history instead of what just happened today? Or how about I learn about what's going on in history, what has happened already, and what I can learn to make sure I'm okay with what is happening now. So you should make sure that students are prepared for what is going on now, as well as being informed of what happened before what is going on now. So during my research process, it was very hard to find any cons of incorporating real world situations into the classroom. So I just decided to think of a few, and the only ones that I can think of was related to like it being dependent on the teacher and the school's curriculum. So just say if you're learning, a teacher was teaching about something that was against someone's culture, but it was still real world learning. You would want to make sure that whatever real world application you were incorporating into the classroom, it was not offensive to anybody because of race, gender, their role in society, or anything. And also the school's curriculum. If the school's curriculum is not open to integrating these real world situations into the classroom, which are forever changing, that can be restrictive to teachers on the content that they want to teach the students. And it can also be restrictive to students' success, educational wise and in the real world. So I feel that these are the only cons that comes with real world application, because then again, it's the real world. We all have to know how to survive in the real world. So why shouldn't school be that place that students learn this? So a few ways to incorporate real world situations into the classroom. One, you can incorporate design challenges into the classroom. Apprenticeship programs, you can incorporate those for students to be able to apply to. And STEM education. So design challenges in the classroom. So all of these quotes are coming directly from an article by an author by the name of Brooks that was basically presenting design challenges in the classroom as a working way for students to be working with real world situations. So a design challenge is an open-ended project that encourages students to ask questions, take initiative, and think creatively. If you guys did not know, STEM, which is what design challenges is associated with, stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Also in this article, I didn't include that on here, but it's saying that schools are saying that students are lacking in these areas. So if students are lacking in something, you want to make sure that you're incorporating more of it into the classroom so that they can have more practice with it, so that they can improve on this. So in the 21st century, scientific and technological innovations have become increasingly important as we face the benefits and challenges of both globalization and a knowledge-based economy. Design challenges are not limited to what students see at their school. The Real World Design Challenge is an annual competition in the U.S. that provides high school students in years 9 through 12 the opportunity to work on a real-world engineering challenge in a team environment. So basically, students are getting the chance to work with real-world situations that are preparing them for the real world. So this can include an engineering project that was incorporated into the school. This can include maybe a mathematical internship that they may be able to do. Like, they are getting a chance to work with people in these fields and shadow them and learn the materials necessary to help them be successful in that same field at a later time after they finish school. That's kind of similar to apprenticeship. So apprenticeship, another word for that could be internship. So from this article about incorporating apprenticeship programs into a high school, South Houston High School, So these students were able to shadow people, get a chance to shadow these people and see what they were doing in the real world. So just say maybe it was a scientist or a mathematician or an engineer. They are getting a chance to shadow these people to learn the skills that they will need to be just as successful as these people are in the future. So how the school had it set up, there was a curriculum that consists of 5 modules with 12 lessons in each module. Each lesson includes approximately 2 hours of activities which are aligned to scans, and that's something that was the school goes by. They didn't really identify what that was, but they do that. And the National Institute for Literacies equipped it for the future. Transitions teachers critical soft skills necessarily for obtaining employment and building a lasting career. Students are able to just have a one-stop place where they're able to get all the skills they need to be successful. Why shouldn't every school be like that? And away from the program, one student said, I am walking away from this program with the ability to converse with others and convey myself in a more confident and well-spoken manner, as well as many other things that will help me better myself, resulting in a brighter future. So as you guys can tell, I may be a little nervous, skipping over my words a little bit with this. Maybe if I would have had an apprenticeship program in high school, I'd be flying through this with flying colors right now. Why wouldn't you want your students or future children to not experience this? And lastly, referring back to another article from someone by the name of Fang that was talking about STEM education. So basically, they had a program going for STEM education where a total of 122 visiting high school students, 91 males and 31 females from different school districts, they got a chance to do a 1.5 hour fun with physics session at the engineering state. And that's an event that was held in the recent summer. So the significance about this article was they were saying they related yo-yoing to the real world. So a yo-yo was provided to each student. By playing with yo-yos, each team was asked to identify collaborative brainstorming, physics concepts, as many of those as they could. All teams entered the final contest and were required to explain and demonstrate how the physics concepts they had identified were associated with yo-yos. Physics is dealing with the real world as well. How things work, why things work that way. Students are getting the chance to go through this learning experience in a collaborative way, which can make them feel more comfortable while doing so. Again, as a result of this, at the end of the session, a lot of students were saying that they had fun, it was hands-on, and it related to the real world. And that's all that matters. As long as students are having fun while learning something that's beneficial to them, as well as being applicable to the real world, we all win. And lastly, Common Core standards that align with real world learning. So I took the Common Core standard about collaborative discussions. So working in collaborative discussions, having teacher-led discussions, one-on-one discussions, that's all what happens with real world learning. And that just shows you the wide range of activities that you can do to incorporate real world learning into your classroom. Also, integrate multiple sources of information and present it in diverse formats. That's also a skill that can get stretched out among different activities where students will be able to learn real world skills. And lastly, writing informative and explanatory text to explain and convey complex ideas, ... These are all ELA Common Core standards that can easily align with the real world situations that should be incorporated into classrooms. As I mentioned before, I found little to no cons from incorporating real world situations into the classroom. What's so wrong about preparing your students for the real world? As long as you're making sure it's educational, appropriate, I see no wrong in doing that. It's a win-win for both teachers and students.